Of course, her website is stucknomore.com if you want to find out more about Dr. Nicki Monty. She is a psychotherapist, author of multiple books, and a new one coming out soon. And we always say a teacher because she helps us learn how to how to deal with ourselves, because every time we turn around, here we are. So, uh,
Like that.
yes. So it's just you and I this week. Cheryl is off. For those that are watching, Therapy Thursday. We record on Tuesdays. So those of you watching the show are going to go, wait a minute, Cheryl was just there a minute ago, but she wasn't on Tuesday. So good morning. How are you this morning?
I like to say these days I am terrific under the imaginary circumstances called the world. So,
Yeah, it's it's interesting times for sure that we live
interesting
in.
times.
Yes, yes. But isn't it always? I mean, there's always something, that's I
Sometimes
realize that
there's
we're
something, and sometimes there's more than something. Sometimes
yes,
there's the blow up of something. Of
yes,
course, there
yes.
is.
I'm sure professionally you don't like to say, some times are crazier than other times, but they're crazier than other
When
times. Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Well, let's say they're more eventful, demanding, complicating, all of those good things,
yeah.
and so it's interesting globally, of course.
Yeah. All right, so we've been asking folks to send in a question. If you have a question for Dr. Nikki, maybe something you're struggling with, maybe something you see, maybe it's with you or a family member, what have you. Feel free, and that we would keep it anonymous. Got a message through Facebook, uh, and someone uh, asked about a coworker. So they don't want us to say who it is. I mean, we live in a small area,
Right.
so I get it. Um, they said I have a coworker who seems to be extremely confident, almost overconfident with the work that they do. I think they're regularly telling everybody how much they do because they're insecure. How would I know the difference between someone being insecure and maybe needs an extra boost, or someone that's just overconfident and my extra boost is is enlarging their ego?
Wow. So that's super. So what's so interesting is that is of any concern to this person whatsoever. Why are you worried about over boosting someone's ego? So I would first ask myself, why am I concerned about whether I'm boosting an ego that doesn't need any more boosting? Like, am I to make that judgment?
Mhm.
What's the downside of boosting ego? Is that going to interrupt the work that we do together? Is that going to put me in a one down position? What am I worried about? Right? Because my experience in most places is that there's quite the lack of support and mutual respect, and wow, atta girl, atta boy,
Mhm.
you did a good job
Right.
today. I admire you so much for the way you approach this, or I have a lot to learn from you, or not even that, just wow, that was impressive. So I'm not really seeing the downside of that, unless you're when someone's doing that and they don't really believe what they're saying, and they're just doing it to get a leg up or to get that person to like them because they're afraid they're not likable themselves. I think the bigger question to this listener I would have is, what are you worried about? Why is this even of concern
Why
to
does
you?
it matter? Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, why does it matter? Do you think you'll be less if they're more? Are you worried about where's your level of confidence?
Hmm.
So, yeah, if someone's being kind of braggadocio about things all the time, probably it comes from insecurity. There's a phrase that we use in writing and in a lot of things. Really, it's show don't tell, right? So if
Hmm.
this person is showing, they don't need to tell you all the time how much they've done. uh, usually. Now,
Mhm.
we have some notable examples of people who are always saying that what they do is great, 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 and the best, best, best.
Mhm.
And is it true? I don't know. I mean,
Mhm.
most of the time it isn't when someone's that inflated about their stuff. Is
Mhm.
there in Do you think they're inflated? Is that inflation bothering you? I don't know. I would start with me. I would start by saying, why is this even something I'm thinking about? I mean, if their desk is right next to yours and they're in your face all the time, I could understand that
Mhm.
might be of concern. You
Sure.
also could take the approach of, very few people would do this, but I'll just throw it out. I get that you do a lot of work and I hear you talking about that quite a bit. I'm wondering what's up for you around that. What would you like
Mhm.
from me? Because I appreciate your work and I think you're terrific. If you do think that, it sounds like you do. Um, and I'm wondering though, if you're aware of how good your work is, because it seems like you're looking for something when you tell us about that.
Mm.
I want to be there for you in the way that you need it. I'm not sure what that
Yeah.
is.
No, I mean,
That's
if they care enough to send in a question, they probably do care enough to maybe dig in and help that person through it, and maybe just share with them. Like you said, start with me. Like share and say, "You seem to be
Yeah.
doing, and here's how it's making me feel.
Here's how
But
it's
I
made.
I value our friendship or coworker relationship. How can I help you through this?"
Exactly. Exactly. So either
Interesting.
one thing's either you're going to have a deeper relationship with that person, they're going to be insulted, or they're going to be something's going to happen. And then you
Mhm.
go, wow, I was in no way, and I am impressed with the work you do. I'm just wondering if you really realize how
Mhm.
impressive you are.
Mhm. Mhm.
There's a lot of ways to do it that where there's a compliment in there, but you're also asking to go to a slightly deeper level. But I would start with you. What is your interest in this process? Do you
Mhm.
not, is it hard for you to admire your own good work?
Mhm.
Is it hard for you when people don't notice that you've done a lot of work? I mean, what is the thing about this that is you're kind of in a little bit of a pickle about?
Mhm. Mhm. Interesting. Yep. Well, thank you to the person that sent in the message, because I want
Yes,
people to
thank you,
understand
thank you.
like how, and I love that they were the first one to send one in, because I want to people to understand how safe this is, how whatever thing it is, you know, that and you saw how Dr. Nikki handled Cheryl last week, and Cheryl is, it's a bummer that she's not here, because she's really struggled is the wrong word. She's really uh been introspective about a lot of the things that she went through with Dr. Nikki last week, and for the first 24 hours was kind of at like a whoa, some things have
Oh,
really changed here, like, yeah. So, and I think that's great. I mean, because I know I went through that with you before, so but it's funny how one of the things that came up, and I'm not going to get into it today on my own front, but how I said, you know I'm not so sure, going back to our first talk where you said that everybody's got their themes. I'm not sure that I know mine yet, and I think I need to work at that and get introspective. So
yeah.
but that's for a different day. Um, the other thing that I wanted to bring up today is we had it on the show today, and I'd never heard of it until today. So you've heard of FOMO, the fear of missing out, right?
Sure.
A therapist in the UK has claims to have coined, maybe it was out there before, FOPO, fear of people's opinion.
Oh, that's a nice little twist. We're always trying to, we're always reinventing the wheel, right? So,
Right, right.
uh,
Anything to get noticed, yeah. I mean, we're all trying to
anything
get
to
a
get
little
done.
more,
I have a
noticed.
couple of phrases in my new book, The Divine Dramedy of Nicki Joy. I have a couple of things I thought were just I've never heard them before, and I think that they, I thought they'd be a little bit smart. Like I have a thing I want to start to talk about more at some point, not today, but how do we spend our emotional inheritance wisely? How to spend your emotional inheritance wisely. So the emotional inheritance, I hadn't heard that phrase in that particular
Yeah.
way. And there are a couple other things that I have that are new, but really, probably somebody has another version of that somewhere. I can't imagine.
Right.
You know, I keep I keep trying to I'm not young. You know what I mean? I'm just Dr. Nicki, and probably I'm just going to say so. Fear of what is it? Phobo?
Yeah, fear of other people's opinions. Like to
So
the point where you're so worried about what other people think.
fear of foo p o fupo.
I
Okay.
guess maybe I'm doing a fear of people's opinions, I guess, or they
Fear
left out
of
the
people's opinions.
the,
Well, of
yeah,
course, this
yeah.
is so common, and it's always nice when someone comes up with something pithy to name something that we've all suffered about to some degree. And are you asking me what I think about that concept, or are you asking me what I
Yeah,
think
well, I just thought I would bring up the concept and get your thoughts on it because,
about?
I understand that we're all to an extent worried about what people think, but maybe you've with all your experience, maybe you could share with us why we're so worried about it. But when it reaches the point of someone being so paralyzed that they will lie for other people's opinions
Oh, it's
or
so common. You have no
pretend for
idea.
people's
No,
opinions. So okay, I'll let
it
you go. Yeah.
yeah, I've been, of course, working with people on this forever. It's one of the most common um, concerns, and I believe, and I'll even say I know, it's gotten even more widespread and even more obvious because of social media. Because we get to compare and despair all the time. I've had people in here. I remember one of my favorite things, and this may seem a little off center for this, but I'll bring it back. I had this lovely little 23-year-old sitting on my couch one day, and she and I had been working together for a little while, and she had this long relationship by 23. It was 6, 7 years, which is pretty interesting for somebody that young. And lovely, lovely creature, an actor, of course, and not a particularly hard worker, I would say, but she sort of wanted magic to happen, and she dated somebody who was well known, and magic should happen, and it just was. Magic is fairly rare, and even if there's magic, you have to work the magic once once you've had the pixie dust flow on you. So anyway, she was sitting there and she came in and she was sobbing. I mean, sobbing. And I'm like, what's happening? What's that? What's wrong? Tell me what's going on. And she said, I haven't left a legacy. I'm like,
Oh my.
you're 23. I sort of buckled up because I wanted to spring across the room and hit her a few times, but
Mm-hmm.
wake her up. And I said, baby, you you may have a few minutes to do that. Sometimes we have to
Right.
a little bit longer for the legacy thing to kick in. And what is this? And then we start dealing with the underlying issues, of course, is am I going to be forgotten? Who will remember me after I'm gone? All these kinds of things that people have when they think about legacy. And what am I leaving behind? Which is, fair when you're like 80 or 70 or something. I think 23 is a little early, but
Mm-hmm.
it isn't for these kids now because they look on Facebook or Instagram or X or whatever they're using at this point, and they see a 17-year-old who is making $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm exaggerating, but not
No,
by
but really, yeah.
and they're the Billie Eyelashes or whatever and of the world, and they've hit and they've gone viral, which is sort of,
Uh-huh.
you think about it, kind of a terrible phrase, but anyway, they've gone viral, and and we compare ourselves to that person.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I love about Soul's Code, which I had recommended to Cheryl, I look forward to after. It'll be even better next time because she maybe will have read a little bit of it.
Yeah.
And see, you should read it too. It's quite good, oldie but goodie. And is that I believe in that way that there's a path that each of us are walking, right? And we have free will when it comes to how do we walk that path, or should we shift over from this path right next to it or this path right next to it. But there's a certain, I would say, fate isn't quite the right word, but there's a journey that the soul is on, from my point of view, and a pattern that we came in with, besides the patterning that we talked about last week, that we got from our parenting or our time in history, and so not everybody gets pixie dust. Some people just have to dig in the dirt until they find something to work with that's been in that dirt. With regards to this, and then I'll go back to the actual question, but with regards to this, I was thinking about the plane the other day, I forget where, or last week, that the crash where 200 and some odd people died and one guy got away. I mean, like, what is up with that? You know what I mean? It was not his day to die, from my point of view. It's just, there's no explaining that in a way, and hardly scratch. There's a little few scratches, and just amazing, just amazing. So people call that luck. I don't know what luck is. I really don't. I don't know what luck is. I do know what destiny is, though. I have a sense of destiny. So that's a different kind of thing. Anyway, going back to the question. Yes, this is widespread. It's always been widespread. Do I fit into my family even? Am I look, we have scapegoats, black sheep, the most famous scapegoat in history. Well, Jesus or Judas, whichever one you want to choose. There's people have a lot of opinions about how that all happened, how Judas became the most notable scapegoat in history. Some think that Jesus asked him, and he sacrificed himself for the cause. Don't know enough about it to have an opinion, but I like that idea because it's sort of the Wicked story, right? The other side of Oz. Anyway, but people are comparing themselves in their family. They're comparing themselves in their neighborhood. They're comparing themselves globally. They're comparing themselves now, through media in a million ways. And so we have ever more ways to think badly of ourselves. And it depends on where your confidence lives to begin with. And if you have any insecurity at all, which, by the way, how does one not have insecurity growing up? We don't know who we are. It's like, I don't care if you're much from the best family and they've been great and you have money and you have all these things. Oh my God. Adolescence comes and your face is filled with acne. It doesn't matter. You can have all the money in the world and yet you get cancer. There's all kinds of things. But so life just shows us over and over again that we are tasked with learning how to show up for ourselves, for others in our lives. That's the task of living, as far as I'm concerned. Comparing that somebody else, oh my God, I'll never get a Nobel Peace Prize. Oh, by the way, I will never get a Nobel Peace Prize. I can pretty much assure you that I will never get a Nobel Peace Prize.
Right.
Oh my God. So what? I'm so glad that there are people who are giving to the world in a way that lets them get that. That's fantastic. I think so what do you do about that comparing and despairing? What do you do about comparing and I'm better than? There's always somebody that you're better than and always somebody you're not as good as. This I guarantee.
Sure.
And so you could be the best scientist in the world and be a terrible communicator. You could be the best communicator in the world and be a terrible scientist.
Sure.
I mean, there are areas we're great in, areas we're not. But yes, this is become a real pandemic connected to, and I use that word that way on purpose, and it's connected to or amplified by all the stress we've decided to take on in our lives. And I say take on because as you know, I believe stress is a mind created issue,
Sure.
something that doesn't need to exist. Very difficult in this world. But so I think we look for things to blame for our insufficiencies. We all have insufficiencies, and we look for things to blame. And isn't it? And oh, here's another piece of the puzzle. I think many people live with a concept called limited supply. There's a limited supply of love, a limited
Uh,
supply of money, a limited supply of partnering, a limited supply of beauty, a limit, whatever it is. And
mhm.
it's nonsense. It's nonsense. There are no limited supplies. This doesn't mean that if there's a bad crop of potatoes everywhere one year, there'll be less potatoes. But in general, there are. It really is not a limited supply. And the thing with food is, if that's in limited supply, there's something else that
Yeah.
you can eat to survive.
Mhm.
So there seems to be more of a limited supply of goodness these days. But besides that, and true compassion, but there isn't really a limited supply. We just choose to limit ourselves and our capacities. And so, but that belief system can keep you very lonely, very small, very poor, very uneducated, a lot of things.
So are there things that we can do if we are someone that you know is kind of stuck or uh, over worried about other people's opinions? Is there something we can do
Yes.
to help
Yes.
ourselves
You
through
are
it?
always, I have the same story about everything, really. So it's kind of cool because just take the philosophy and apply it to everything and your life will change. It's really true. While you're thinking about what somebody else thinks of you, by the way, we don't know what other people think of us.
Sure, we have no idea. We create it in our head. Yes.
So we're great. I mean, if they put it in writing, I suppose we know for a minute,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
really, it's never really about us. Anyway,
Mm,
if I wasn't thinking about what, Joyce is thinking about me,
mhm,
what would I be thinking about me? This is
mm,
always the thing. If I weren't focused on what they're doing or thinking or being, how
mhm,
would I be feeling about what I'm doing or thinking or being or
mhm,
doing, right? Doing, thinking, or being. How would I be focused on that? And what do I need to do differently, be differently,
mhm,
express differently, feel differently to be confident in myself or to recognize myself as a work in progress and know that that's okay.
mhm,
I always say one of my favorite mantras of all time is it's not personal.
mhm,
It's not personal. It's not personal. It is not personal. The world is not behaving in a personal way, although we believe it is. If our mother's mean to us consistently, that's not because we deserve her to be mean to us. It's
mhm.
because she's mean and we're
Yeah.
there. That's not- just anybody who was
Yeah.
there, she would be
Right.
mean to.
That's who
Right?
she would be mean to. Yeah. It's her, not me. Yeah.
If
Hmm.
your neighbor complains all the time about you, it's not because it's you. I mean,
Hmm.
if you're playing, you know,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's yeah.
whatever,
We can.
there's
Yeah, I
exceptions
get that.
in
Yeah,
general.
there's exceptions always. Yeah, but I get that. I think that's a great mantra for us to take with ourselves this week. Is it's not personal.
It's
I
not
think that's
personal.
something that we
And
can take
e
with us
and
this week.
even better, here's another one, even better, if I weren't thinking about what they think about me, what would I be thinking about me right now?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then work on that. I'd be thinking I'm ugly. Well, I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe you
Hmm.
don't need to think that.
Right.
Or I'm insufficient, I'm stupid, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm too fat, I'm too tall, I'm too short,
Right.
whatever.
I'm not enough. Yep. All of
I'm not
those things.
enough. I'm not
Yes.
enough. What if you are enough? What if there's absolutely nothing wrong with you except your idea that there's something wrong with you?
Right. Oof. That's
Here's a question.
whoa. What if there's absolutely nothing wrong with you except the idea that you think there's something wrong with you? Wow. All right, I'm going to take that one too this week. Off with me. We're talking with Dr. Nicki Monty. You can see on the bottom of your screen if you're watching on video. Stucknomore.com is the website. You can find her all over the social media. I've been working with her social media guys, so we're getting a lot more stuff out there. You can find us all over the web with Dr. Nicki Monty, Deweyville. Look for us all over the place. Lots of great things out there. So stucknomore.com. Again, if you have questions, it's a safe place. Dr. Nicki is with us for that reason, to help you a little bit, probably get a start to what the work will be. But we're more than happy to answer your questions.
And I also have that, aspect on all my social media stuff. And Tuieville, every day I have a piece of Tuieville on my social
Yes.
media. So
Yeah,
if
he's
you have
doing a
a
great job.
question that you ask, I'm checking and I'll bring it up on the air as well. If you don't want to go through that old Steve guy.
Right. No, go directly to Dr. Nicki. Feel free. That's you're always welcome to. So thank you guys so much for listening. Dr. Nicki, thank you so much. Have yourself a great week. We'll take a break. We'll be back with plenty of fun here in Deweyville. Stick around.
Thanks, Steve.